allowed to come and stay in the night and sleep in the mosque itself. So these Christian delegation, the scholars, the priests, they slept in the mosque. But then they asked another question. They said, but you know, that is fine, but how about prayers? You know, we have to pray as well. So what do we do when we have to pray? Are we allowed in your mosque? Because they were afraid. They thought maybe he will not allow us to pray. Are we allowed to pray? The Prophet Muhammad never said that you follow a different religion. We follow a different religion. If you want to pray, go outside and pray somewhere else. He said no. He said this is a place of worship. Yes, we believe in one God. You believe also in the same God. And you have different ways of worshipping Him. But I, being Muhammad, the Prophet of Islam, I allow you to also worship in the mosque according to your own way. So the Prophet of Islam, his tolerance, acceptance was beyond our current situation of the Muslims. And I think this is something we as Islamic scholars or religious leaders need to emphasize and educate our congregations about the real core values of our religions. In order for us to have a society which is a society of religious pluralism, I would like to mention and I would like to share with you certain things which Islam has prescribed, guidelines. The first guideline Islam prescribes for such a society is La ikraha fi din, that there should be no compulsion in religion. And there should be freedom of religion. Everyone, and let me please, some might be confused and thinking, but what about what happened in Afghanistan when the Taliban were there and they destroyed the ancient Buddhas? What was that about? That was not the conduct, that was not the message taught by Islam or the founder of Islam. That was their own narrow interpretation. That was their own extreme view. And let me share today with you also that this extremism is not just found in Islam, it is found in every other religion. Not only in religions, it is also found in politics. Certain political parties in the UK, for example, they are based on extremism, narrow-mindedness. Those who only want to keep everything within their race, within their nation. The BNP, for example, they don't adhere to any religion, but yet there is extremism, narrow-mindedness. That same people who follow religion, they're not angels, they're also humans. And narrow-mindedness, extremism is human nature. So some people, because of their methodology, their way, when they will interpret religion, they will always choose the conservative approach, the extreme approach. And the Taliban, for example, they are one of them. But Islam itself says, La ikraha fi din, there is no compulsion in religion. And another verse, which is one of the last and one of the most important chapters of the Quran, is the chapter on non-Muslims. In the Quran, there is a chapter which is headed Surah Al-Kafirun, the chapter on the non-Muslims, on the non-believers, non-Muslims. And what does it say? It says, قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ, say to those who don't believe in Islam, لَكُمْ دِينُكُمْ وَلِيَ دِينٍ. You have your own religion, and you are free to accept it, free to practice upon it, وَلِيَ دِينٍ, and we have our own religion, and we are free to follow that. So this is freedom of expression, which is very much needed today. The second is, as I said, that there should be a religion, where, there should be an atmosphere where there is no competition. The atmosphere should be an atmosphere of cooperation, whether it is between sects within one religion or whether it is within religions. The third thing is, there are certain things, certain common goals within the religions. Christianity, whether it is Judaism, whether it is Hinduism, whether it is Sikhism, Buddhism, or Islam, all share certain common values, common goals. The Quran says, تَعَالَوْا إِلَىٰ كَلِمَةٍ سَوَاءٌ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَكُمْ. Let us all come together, people from different faiths. Why would we come together? So we could come together on the basis of those things which are shared by us. What are these common goals? Today, this time and era where we are living in, this problem is faced by every religion. This is a time and era of materialism. People are turning away from spirituality, turning away from religion, because of the current atmosphere, environment, but also, unfortunately, because of our own conduct and behavior as religious followers. Not just because you can't just blame materialism, you have to also blame our own conduct and behavior as people who adhere to religion. What did we do to attract people towards religion? Have we showed them unity? People who are secular, they don't follow any religion, they come together for common goals. I still remember that sometimes, once a year they have an event, musical event in London, I believe, and certain other parts of the world, where they come together against poverty. These people, and what happens then? There is no biblical text or Quranic text is being said there. They don't talk about spirituality. It's all about dance. It's all about that. But yet they come together for that common goal, which is a very good goal. Why can't we, people who follow religion, come together, hold events which talk and which highlight our common goals, so we can achieve those common goals together with unity? And with unity there is strength. We are facing issues. We are facing discrimination. It's also an issue. We shouldn't close our eyes. This is something we find even today in Ireland. Yes, thank God we don't find it that much than in certain countries. So like I said, I'm from the Netherlands. And I can tell you, Holland has changed rapidly after 9/11. Has changed. This was a multicultural society. But it broke down. Not because multiculturalism is not the right path. No, just because those people who were their leaders of different faiths, they chose isolation. Muslims as well, they chose isolation. You go to England, for example, the Reverend, respected, you've been in England, you know yourself that there are areas, I go every week for the program on TV, where, for example, you only see Muslim people living in that area. And when I went to England for the first time, when I was young, that was probably in I think 1995, when I was shocked. I was like, I don't see any British native person walking on the street. Am I really in England? And you go to certain areas, you only find people who are following, for example, Hindus. You don't find any Muslim there. What is that? That is isolation. I don't think that is a good thing. And Islam itself totally rejects isolation. Islam itself, it says you must go for integration. Why do you go for isolation? It's not going to benefit anyone. Isolation is just going to create more difficulties in the society, more hatred, more enmity towards each other. There will be more lack of understanding when there is isolation. You must go for the integration. And for that integration, as I said, it is very important that religious leaders come together. And as I said, that one of the things they could do is, like within the sects, scholars, Muslim scholars, should go to churches, should go to other places of worship. And the priests, they are most welcome in our Islamic Center, Al-Mustafa, but you should also, we invite you, go to other places of worship, like mosques. On the Friday lecture, the Friday khutbah, you could speak. And you could speak on something which we all together share. But to do that, we have to really have that strength. We shouldn't be afraid. And this is something I think a lot of us are still afraid. We don't want to come out. We are afraid maybe if we do so, we may face opposition from our congregation. Yes, you will face opposition. Yes, you will face. I have personally faced it. But let me tell you, when you keep trying, and this is something all prophets used to face, whether it was Prophet Jesus or Moses or Muhammad, they all faced opposition. Whether it was Buddha, they all faced opposition. But they weren't people who would sit down and say, okay, because there's going to be opposition, let us not do. No, they continued their job. They continued their job. And so I would like to end here because I think I have gone over the time. But the main thing I would like to share with you is that my message for today is, let us all come together and let us all work together as people of different faiths and religions and come together so we could revive spirituality in the society. We could revive spirituality, and this is something which in today's society and here we are lacking. I would like to end with a prayer from the Quran. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. O Allah, most compassionate, ever merciful, please guide us on the straight path. Amen.